I think the big news today, Gaydos, OJ Simpson died of cancer today.
He's dead.
The age of 76.
The real killer is dead.
Yeah, I think, the good news for him is it's probably a dry heat. So, what, is that bad?
No, that's where I think he is. I mean, I think that he's a despicable human being, and I think he's probably in hell right now, and he deserves to be there. And that's what happens after you take a knife and you cut two people's heads almost completely off, and then deny it for the rest of your life.
He was acquitted of the murder of Ronald Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson.
Yeah.
But he was found guilty for responsible for their murders in the civil trial.
And then later in Vegas, he tried to get back memorabilia, and I think he was put in jail for 7 or 8 years.
9 years, yeah.
Oh, was it 9 years?
9 years in jail for the theft and whatever. So that's a big story today.
Yeah.
A monumental thing. We talked about the trial and the chase and
where were you during the white Bronco chase?
Well, and how it kind of changed. It changed certainly a lot of news. It changed cable news in a lot of ways. But I don't have an OJ story. I mean, I was in L.A., but OJ didn't show up around anything that I did.
Yeah. I'm the guy that's got the story today.
Yes.
From the celebrity or however you want to say it.
Okay,
so,
I can't wait.
Here's my OJ story.
Right.
And some of you who have been listening for decades, maybe you remember the day and afternoon drive where this took place.
Okay.
Okay. The year was 2005. Okay.
We're going to go back to 2005.
I believe it was the 10-year anniversary of either the murder or the verdict.
I think it was the verdict was 95.
It was the verdict?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it was the 10-year anniversary of the verdict.
Okay.
All we remember that day where where the world stopped. And,
literally.
Yeah. So 10 years after that.
Okay.
It's 2005, KTAR. We're here in the afternoons.
OJ has been searching every golf course in America for the murderer.
Right.
He said he would.
The day before, I get a phone call, and it's one of my contacts in radio.
Okay.
And he goes, I've got an OJ cell phone number.
No.
And he goes, do you want it? And I said, well, of course I do. You know, tomorrow is going to be the 10-year anniversary of the verdict. And so I don't know how my friend at the time got it. Didn't really ask questions.
Doesn't matter.
I said, yes, I'll take that number. Okay. Took the number. I thought about it that night saying, what are we going to do with this? Like,
what if he picks up?
what are you going to do with this? Right. Are we really going to call him? I mean, so here's what we did.
Okay.
On the 10-year anniversary, we go on the air, and I tell the audience, I've got a cell phone number on OJ Simpson.
Yeah.
Now, this is not a joke. I'm not trying to be funny. I actually have a number. It's right here. And I said, I don't really know what to do with it. So I opened the phones up, and we took phone calls. Should we call OJ?
On the 10th anniversary of him being acquitted of murder.
Should we call OJ? So I remember some of the calls, some vehemently against it. Do not put this man on. He is a murderer.
Right.
Other people were like, I just wonder if the number works, or I kind of wonder if you could actually get him on.
What's he doing today?
People were like, well, what would you ask him?
Okay.
Because that was the other thing I had to think about. If you actually get him, what are you going to ask him?
Right. God forbid he picks up.
Right. So I got to tell you, a little sweaty here.
I can imagine.
Because the anticipation is starting to build. Mm-hmm. We did this for an hour.
Oh, boy.
And I think it was like I don't know, 4 to 5 o'clock.
Right.
And so we're taking the pros and the cons of what we should do. People are calling in and they're voting and all this stuff. And it comes up to the end of the 4 o'clock hour, and I said, all right, it looks like you want me to call him. We're going to go to news, and we're going to come back, and we're going to see what happens.
We're going to call OJ.
Yeah. So, took the commercial break, went to the news, and I'm just like, I'm short of breath. And I'm not looking forward to this. And if anybody knows me, like, I'll call anyone and try and get them on the air. I'm not afraid of that at all.
No.
If there's a huge guest and I've got to ask the toughest question, I love that.
Yes.
I'm like a shark that's like, like circling. But I got to tell you, this was different. This was, So what I did was I
Is
walked.
it because he was notorious?
It's OJ Simpson.
Yeah.
He killed 2 people.
Yeah, that's why.
It's OJ.
Right.
Okay. So I do this. I walk into the production room, okay, because there's a phone in there. And that phone I can use there, and we can put them on the air if we get them. And so what I do first is I start rolling tape.
Roll tape.
And I'm like, I'm going to record whatever happens here. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm thinking to myself, listen, he's never going to answer. This guy's phone is probably ringing off the hook. Why would he ever come on a show in Phoenix? He doesn't know anyone here. He doesn't know me from anybody. He shouldn't trust me for calling. What does he get out of this?
Right.
Nothing, right? I mean, what does he get out of it? Okay. So I'm thinking, he's never going to answer. I'm starting to dial, and I'm thinking, what if he answers?
Right.
So I dial the number,
Beep, boop, beep, beep, beep.
rolling tape. It rings, and I think part of me was kind of hoping he wouldn't answer.
Don't answer.
Yeah. And he answered.
No.
He answered. And my stomach dropped. It really did. I really remember. I remembered. I don't think I was expecting him to answer.
No.
And my stomach dropped. And I'm like, all right.
Here we go.
Here we go. I give him my best pitch. I try and convince him to come on. I'm rolling tape, knowing in my mind he's probably not coming on. I want to keep him talking to me because I'm going to roll this back on the air.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the audio of him saying yes or no, or maybe we'll get him on the air. And I'm thinking like what can I say to get him, on the air? He doesn't know me. He's never heard of KTAR. He doesn't come to Phoenix and all this stuff.
It's a random call he got.
Totally random call from some stranger asking him for an interview. And I try and convince him. I'm looking at the clock, and it's starting to tick. And I'm like, I got to get back on the air. I'm still talking to him. Do I have him? Do I not? And at the end of the day, he says no several times.
Several times now.
Several times. So I hung the phone up. And I know I had like 2 minutes before I had to get back on. And I just had to sit there for a second and remind myself, I just talked to America's most notorious murderer. And it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it was chilling, Bruce, just to speak to a guy like that. And what we did was we ended up playing the tape of me trying to get him on the air.
Begging him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I never really thought he would come on. There's nothing in it for him.
Right.
But I will tell you, we've all made phone calls in our lives, right? Like you're 12 years old, you're ready to call a girl, right? You're freaking out. You've got notes, right? You've got notes.
The spring formal's coming up.
Right? And that's you get a little nervous or you're making a fun. This was the most, I think, awful phone call I've ever made in my entire life because it just made me sick to know that I was talking to a man who had so much rage in him at one point where he took 2 lives.
Yeah.
And that's the guy I just talked to.
Interesting.
And it was...
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It was unsettling.
Unsettling. Sounds like it, Gaydos.
Unsettling is
Thank
what
you
I
for
can
sharing
say.
the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2005.
That's something else. That would have been great. A 10th anniversary, right? Hey, we're going to talk a little more about OJ a little later. We got more things, for goodness sakes. There's so many different angles to this story, isn't there?
I
really think so.
I think it's Black America at the time and white America at the time and what we all thought when the verdict came down. And was he going to kill himself in that car with Al Cowlings?
Cato Kalin's on TV.
That's interesting.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Remember Cato Kalin?
Really weird guy.
Remember Cato Kalin?
Living in the
in the back house. Yeah, all the celebrities it made. What a bizarre thing.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.